All right. I want to thank the members of the Financial Services and Audits Compliance Committee for being here today, and also a deep thank you for allowing me to push this back an hour from the scheduled time to accommodate another meeting that the chairman of the commission asked me specifically to attend. So we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order for those of you that are in the room and those of you that are following us online. And we have a proposed board agenda items by the committee and our financial services. So do you want me to list these, or how?
What we can do is turn it over to Ms. Cutter and let her walk through each of the board agenda items, the individual agenda items, and then she'll move into her committee report.
Right, because I know Dr. Robinson had some questions.
Yes.
It says proposed board agenda items by committee. What is that doesn't mean that we propose it. It's just for this committee, right? We're not making the proposal. All right. Yeah, so that really was kind of confusing initially, but I think this is presented to us from staff to this committee.
It's being proposed by staff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's your board agenda items that are proposed by staff. Beverly, has that been historically been the titling we've used, or have we changed it? Okay.
Yeah, because she's correct. It does sound a little misleading. Okay. All right, then Stephanie, the floor is yours.
Okay, we have several proposed action items, recommendations coming from staff for the month of October. Nothing that poses any concerns. The first item A is the sub-recipient agreement for the SMART grant. There were some administrative cleanups recommended by the DOT grant administrator, wherein line items needed to be moved around. So we are bringing forward those revisions for board approval. It particularly related to categories of supplies, travel, and training and outreach. Any questions on item A?
Yeah, I do. What I was trying to find was the only category that was revised was the miscellaneous category, but there's no red lines on anything else. So normally when we do this, you give us red lines or highlighted items.
Did you all receive the attachments that looked like this? It kind of outlined the revisions that we were working with DOT. Okay, I'll make sure that you all get this document.
Well, normally it's red lines on the document itself. You know, normally it's highlighted with the revisions and the change that we made.
Mhm.
That's what I was looking for when it said, you know.
Are you referring to the grant application now being redlined, Dr. Robinson?
Yeah, when it says sub-recipient agreement for SMART grant program, was that included in the original grant?
Ms. Dumas, was the agreement sent out? I thought it was. Was it? Yeah, where, and the changes highlighted.
This isn't a change,
The chart,
though.
it was a chart. Remember, down at the end.
The subrecipient agreement is actually not a change. The subrecipient agreement
It's a
is
chart.
what the attorneys, that was the form in the grant application itself that the board has. There was a specific amount in that grant application that was to go to Georgia Tech for their technology development and external advisory board component of the project.
I remember us talking about it, I do remember that.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I guess I'm not understanding.
Okay, I misspoke. There's no change in the amount for Georgia Tech. It's still that 401,736. But this is an agreement between CAT and Georgia Tech, securing their role with the SMART Grant program. But the amount has not changed.
And it enables us to,
The sub-grant and Georgia Tech, now we're signing agreement for our interaction with Georgia Tech, is that what you're saying?
yes, ma'am. So if you
Yes.
think of it this way, so the original grant application, the grant was made to CAT, but CAT had a subcontract role built in there for Georgia Tech. So in order to reimburse Georgia Tech for their expenses, just like we get reimbursed from USDOT, we had to have a business contract in place in order to properly make those reimbursements and hold it to, the agreement. So we had to draft a subcontract to enable us to do that, for it to be auditable and all those kinds of things.
So Georgia Tech was the preferred, I can think of the lack of a better word, for the grant itself, that was already given to us, we're gonna use Georgia Tech.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we have to come back and make sure that we tie it all together.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question? Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Because I remember us talking about it early on, about having that kind of connection with Georgia Tech and how, what a great opportunity that was for us to Georgia Tech. I understand what this was.
Yes, that's what it is. Okay, the second item is the equipment purchase for a camera system. These are camera systems that will be installed in the on-demand paratransit vans that will support the SMART Grant program.
I asked again, when it comes to the SMART grant, let me understand, with the procurement process, you don't have to get competitive bids.
Well, we already had, we're piggybacking off of an existing contract to procure the vehicles. These are for cameras, and we received quotes for the camera systems. And I believe that was a part of the packet as well.
Yeah,
And
3 quotes.
But it wasn't part of the package.
Oh, the quotes themselves were not?
No, that's what I was asking about.
But
Because,
in this process, I assume that you look at all the statistics and then based on the criteria, you select one, correct?
Right. Well, in this case, we would have gone for 3 quotes, and as long as they were all 3 responsive to the specifications, we would take the lowest bidder.
And keep in mind, these cameras have to be integrated into our existing system. So all of that had to be taken into consideration, and the write-up mentions that. And this was the recommended bidder.
and I guess my question has to do more with policy, how do we handle these things, and, for the 3 quotes, why don't we see the 3 quotes? You see what I'm saying? And if in fact this will, but if in fact it's what you said it is, because if we've already got their cameras, and these are tied into their cameras, then I think somehow when we write these up, all these things will be moved.
In the write-up, Dr. Robinson, it talks about the process of integrating the new camera systems. It will allow us to be on one unified system that really further enhances the effectiveness of the system. Sometimes systems don't work with one another. So this is really adding on to our existing system that we procured previously. We're going back to the same vendor that we previously used. They updated their quote telling us what it would be, and that's what we are recommending today.
So again, my question is, when that happens, on your end, and policy, and there is no need for three quotes. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's what this is, and that's why in the narrative, we explain the reasoning. We are recommending TSI because they are the manufacturer of the camera system and its enhanced technology. Some of the camera systems have old, outdated technology, and they won't work. They may be cheaper,
Right,
but they won't work with our existing camera system.
right. I got that
Yeah.
part. I'm just asking about procedure.
So this quote, and that's why you did not see 2 additional quotes, because we went back to the manufacturer who we have our camera system with to get an updated quote on what it would cost to
Okay.
add to our existing system.
And that's my question. So procedure-wise, there are opportunities not to have 3 quotes. And this is an example
That's
of one of
correct.
them.
That happens a lot, and it happens a lot in the county. You know, if you're looking for
Oh,
something
yeah.
specific, it eliminates a lot of the competitors
Yeah.
from being able to bid on something that is very specific.
And I guess, Faye, the reason why I'm asking this is, because we just went through a process where we said the procurement policy needs to be relooked at and redone and revised, policy needs to be redone and revised.
Yes,
So, I mean, if this is happening in that way, I was questioning it because if that's part of what we're doing, because I have not seen the revised procurement policies and procedures that you guys want to implement. So, and that's why I'm really concerned about, are we still operating under the old way of doing things, or?
Well, when we procured this camera system initially, we went through that process.
Gotcha.
And one of the main features that I remembered was that these particular cameras were more enhanced and were
Updated.
cheaper,
Mhm.
and provided better benefit to CAT than their competitors. So the camera system is in place, and now we are adding to the fleet that needs to connect to our system. And we went back to the selected vendor who provided the camera systems initially and received the updated quote to be integrated within our existing system of cameras.
And I did meet those folks,
Yes, ma'am.
and I was at the expo. I did a chance to meet them.
Went to their booth.
Good.
Got a cute one,
Did they talk about the systems that they installed here? See?
and they were excited about continuing doing business with us as well.
Yeah. Initially, we went through the procurement process to procure that system.
Well, you'll note on here too, Dr. Robinson, there's actually 2 items that are cameras. One of them is
Yeah.
for the CAT Connects, the senior service that we are reinstating and such, and the other's for the SMART grant. So outfitting those particular vehicles that are the paratransit, microtransit type vehicles with cameras, both are being handled by that same firm.
Ms. Cutter and Dr. Robinson, would it be helpful for us to go back to the original procurement and provide those quotes?
That
and
would be
attach
good.
it to this?
Yes,
Report?
great idea.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and the second one, Ms. Faye was just talking about was coming from the same vendor,
Yes,
but with a different amount,
because they're getting less.
less.
2 versus the 4.
And I think this new technology, you've got to have it where it's integrated.
Yes,
and-
yes, ma'am.
And now but they won't be the one that service these, will they? I wasn't sure. That's supposed
They'll
to.
install and any needed service, yes.
What's the life of the, what's the
I'll have to
warranty?
get back with you on the useful life.
Okay.
I don't have that information available, but I'll make a note as it relates to useful life and the warranty that comes with the procurement.
Okay.
Okay, the next item, the purchase of 2 ADA accessible vehicles to support the SMART grant program. These vehicles are 100% funded by the SMART grant award. Any questions regarding that?
Look, I'm the one who's got questions, but I don't have one on that one.
Next item, contract extension on-call engineering services. We need to extend this contract to support the construction of the ferry maintenance facility and the dock along the Savannah River on the Hutchinson Island side and at the west end of River Street. Thomas and Hutton, they are the engineer of record, and we need to extend the contract to cover that project.
And the contract ran out because we hadn't started the construction?
Yes, the project took longer than originally anticipated, partially because we had to wait on settling the local match side of things, in which the city of Savannah deeded over property on the west end, and that was completed earlier this year.
That's correct.
And now CAT is ready to move with that project.
And these were also, Dr. Robinson, you may recall, these were the two projects that were in one grant that were, we thought that it was going to lapse. And there was a lot of activity that had to occur in a short period of time to recover that schedule and then complete the matching requirements and so forth. And so during that period of time, it wasn't an engineering activity. It was those kinds of things.
So with the financial impact, can you explain that? You said there's no charge in cost for the initial, from the
No
initial.
change in cost.
So it doesn't cost us any more money to extend this contract?
That's correct, because it was already, they didn't go up on their fees per se. But of course, if the number of hours it takes to oversee, there may be some financial impact. But as of today, we don't anticipate that, according to what Thomas and Hutton is reporting.
Dr. Robinson, there was money left in the contract. And so
Yeah.
we're just using that money to complete the work that would have needed to have been completed had we been on schedule.
But sometimes being off schedule causes cost to
That's right.
rise. So I mean, if they're willing to stick with what they
Yes.
agreed upon, that puts us in a better light.
Yes.
But there's still some unknown variables that could occur.
Absolutely.
But I understand you to say that.
And then there will be a change order that will have to come before the board to approve that. Okay, item E is the addition of 2 camera systems to support the new vehicles that are being purchased to support the SMART Grant pilot program. Again, these cameras are funded 100% by the SMART Grant.
So we don't have any concerns about getting those vehicles? Because, you know, at the APTA conference, there was a lot of concern about, you know, manufacturers not being available, but we're at a place now with these 2 should come in on time.
The microtransit
Yes.
vehicles will be here in a very short order. What you were hearing at the conference, which is still somewhat true, is if you're ordering the big buses, big buses are still, that's one of the reasons why, for example, if we start into Commuter Express with Hyundai, we may borrow vehicles from Atlanta in order to start that up, because the delivery timeframes for big buses is just extended right now, but not for these microtransit vehicles. And we've been very fortunate with our vendor to be able to, you know, bring these in as we need them, both for the CAT Connect with the seniors program as well as the SMART grant.
Okay, item F. Now here is the policy for travel and reimbursement associated with the SMART grant. And there, the changes are highlighted in red. Dr. Robinson, do you see that?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
And it's just to provide clarity to ensure compliance with the grant agreement. And these edits for these additional expenses, we need the board approval to move forward as identified within the revisions. Mainly relating to expenses related to event meetings, rental of space, catering, those kinds of things.
And when it comes to the expenses coming out of the SMART grant,
Yes, ma'am.
do we anticipate any possibility of overspending?
No,
You know,
ma'am.
so we're good.
No,
Yeah,
ma'am.
because
We
we
will
spend
not
a lot of
overspend.
money.
We will not overspend.
We spend a lot of money, you know, and I was thinking, my God. Hopefully-
And Dr. Robinson, this is why we are bringing everything back before CAT to make sure that we are grant compliant. And there oftentimes are potentials to overspend, but the agreement clarifies, and what you all approve says everything is compliant with the $1.2 million that has been awarded. And of course, it's on a reimbursement basis. So no overage. DOT has made that perfectly clear. They are tracking expenses by category. If it's not budgeted within the category, there will be no reimbursement.
So on our financials, is there a line item that shows us how that SMART grant is being?
Yes, ma'am. We've set up account codes to track all of the SMART grant expenses, both on the capital side and on the operating side.
And because I think maybe at our board meeting, when you make your report, maybe you can kind of point that out.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Software.
Okay, the software we are purchasing, and this is we're piggybacking off of a contract managed by Equalis. It's the same software that Chatham County uses to enhance the procurement process. It will help us to reach a broader audience, to ensure that vendors ready, willing, and able to provide a good or service to CAT know of the opportunities. It will automatically send out emails and other methods of communications, letting them know that CAT has this procurement process going on, just allowing us to reach a broader audience and provide opportunities for more people to participate with CAT.
And it will show the specs, everything will be right
Yes,
there for
ma'am.
everybody to see.
Yes, complete package
Yeah.
for everybody to see.
'Cause I think the county uses this.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this is part of the commitment that we
Yeah.
made to you, with some of we knew we needed to modernize our system, and we needed to automate it in some ways and get greater efficiency and effectiveness in the system. And this is one of the commitments that we made to you very recently, with regard to improvements in the procurement process and some of the hiccups that we've seen there. So we're really proud to have brought this forward this quickly and to get this in place, because it's an absolutely essential reform, if you will, for us.
Interesting name of the company, Bond.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Believe that.
So that brings us to the reports to the committee.
Yes.
Presentation. So Stephanie, you are a financial person, welcome to financial.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much,
Now,
Director.
What am I looking at? Oh,
And then we'll go to that one.
okay, thank you, thank you.
To Committee Chair, Director Stone, and committee members, to the public joining us for the presentation of the financial overview for the month ending September 30th, 2023. welcome and thank you for your presence and attention today. This slide shows all of the accounts owned by Chatham Area Transit and the unreconciled balance as of for the quarter, July, August, and September. It's also reflective of grant dollars received during the month of September. You'll see the comparisons of the operating account balances for the months October, July, August, and September, reflecting the differentials. I want to call your attention to the operating account, seeing that number slightly declining, and that's because we have more staff on board. Next month, it'll probably even be a little lower. That number is offset, however, by the reimbursements, which is at the bottom of the chart, that we receive for monies that CAT has expended. The grant money comes back in and is deposited back. Grants are on a reimbursement basis. During the month of September, we received 1.5 million from the convention center to support the construction of the 2 ferry vessels. We received an FTA draw in the amount of $898,270 for ferry boat rehab, and $53,509 that CAT spent for the TDP plan. Director Stone was mentioning our investment account, the Georgia One investment account, and we're still growing.
So
It looks like for August and September, it stayed the same.
I need to update
It
the
did.
number on this slide.
I was wondering why it was the exact same.
You'll see on a following slide the actual activity for September, the interest. When this slide was done, we hadn't gotten the report in. That's why it's unreconciled. But I was able to, the bank statement came in and was able to did update the slide that's following this that shows the investment account.
can I ask about the local match?
Mhm.
Let me see if I understand that. Whenever we let a job out, when it's time to pay the bill, we got to pay it, right?
Yes.
Even though we may not have the match money in hand,
Yes.
but eventually the match does come in and it reimburses us for what we've already spent.
That's correct. The match is on a reimbursement basis as
Yeah,
well.
usually at 20%.
Yes, if it's when it's SPLOST dollars, we send the supporting documentation to the county wherein the good or service has been received and or performed, along with copies of the checks wherein we have paid for the good or service, and they reimburse us that 20%.
Okay.
In instances wherein there is a project wherein we don't have a local match, and the board has approved moving forward with a critical project, that means CATS has to cover that cost.
But how do you plan for that? If you're looking for a 20% match, you didn't get it, but we move forward anyway with the project.
Some projects are emergency, and the ferry boat is an example. When that grant was applied for, the cost of the ferry boat was a third of what it actually was. So the local match was based on that old price. So the differential, CAT had to go out and seek additional funding That 1.5 million, I'm going to update the slide because it says SAMI. SAMI is a part of it, but it really came out of the Savannah Convention Center's budget. It benefits the convention center, and they were willing to help CAT cover that cost differential. And some of our other local partners, we are still pressing them for some dollars that they informally committed to previously.
And I'm thinking, yeah, to put it all in the Sammy makes it look like Sammy's just as fantastic.
Yes, I'm going to
Yeah.
update that.
Sammy committed 25,000, and then the convention center committed the 1.5 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we were going around trying to figure out how to remedy the situation with ferries, what we call them 1 and 2, the 2 that we're going to take delivery of in the spring, those are all fully funded now.
Yes.
And still on track for that expedited schedule that they committed to as a part of their bid. You recall that, I know, Dr. Robinson. So that one we've gotten, it's ferry boat 3 is the one that we're still out there right now. And I think you may have seen recently in the, not last week, but the week before, or the time before snapshot that I sent you, we were notified by Federal Highway and GDOT about 2 weeks ago that there are some they're ferry specific, but they're earmarks that are from 2003, 2006, and 2009 that have been sitting out there that may still be available. And if so, that's what's going to fill the delta on Ferry 3. And then we'll have those 3 done, and we can just sit tight on ferries for a while.
Yep, but I was really looking at the report itself, and if you've got other local match in companies or individuals, because you do a whole lot of developing these partnerships, and I think we need to see their names as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Give them the little credit.
Well, when they come in, we do show it,
Okay.
but this is the month of September,
And that's what we are.
and this is what came in September, the
Gotcha.
month of September.
You're
Yes.
going to start to see Port Wentworth,
Yeah.
Garden City, City of Savannah,
Yeah.
because you're going to see those agenda items this time, and it'll be reflected on future,
Yes.
financial reports.
This shows the transit collections for the month of August that we received in the month of September. If you recall, it's last month, it was really low because of the property tax credit. We expect to get that refunded once the state releases it to the county. But for the month of August, it's back up to a normal amount, totaling $578,974, in addition to the tax on tags of $3,600 for a total of what I mentioned, $578,974. It's broken down by category. This slide pretty much shows the transit tax comparison. And to the left, and then on the right, you see the Georgia Fund investment for the month of September, $35,956 in interest. And here it is, outlined at the end of August. There's that 8.1 million, interest of 35,956 at the end of September, leaving us a balance of $8,182,312.
So that would reflect the change where Director Stone mentioned that the numbers were the
Yes.
same in September.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
figure would have gone in September if you'd had it.
Yes.
I got you.
Yes, absolutely. And that will be updated for board meeting. Your recruitment stats, for the month, we received 107 applications. Of that, 46 were not qualified. We extended 10 offers. We had 4 new employees to start in the month of September. And at the end of the month, there were 70 vacancies. And it's broken down by category. Are there any questions?
I think CEO Fay knows that the DEI EEO is something that is near and dear to me, and because we have a part of that pilot program, it's interesting that we have 4 applicants and 3 didn't qualify, and the other one didn't take our offer.
An offer wasn't made for the DEI candidate.
Although you
I
had,
have not seen the applications on that to be able to comment on it.
yeah, because it said 4 received, 3 didn't qualify. So there should have been at least 1 that could have gotten, but I also thought that in the contract with the CAO, that he would be involved in that hiring that person, would he?
He will be. He'll be involved in hiring that person, and his first priorities, and I mentioned this to you, Director Robinson, is we're prioritizing the human resources manager and the procurement manager just because of the criticalness of those kinds of things. This is also critical, but he's focusing on the work that we need to do around like the how to do business with CAT to develop small businesses and DBEs. A disparity study that we don't have to establish our DBE goal right now is really underwhelming, and definitely needs to be based upon a solidly completed disparity study. And as a matter of fact, Ms. Cutter and Mr. Sanders and I met this morning and talked through that. And then we need to bring in the DEI EEO candidate that can help support those things and manage those things. It's a critical position. We've just got to get procurement and human resources houses in order, I think, as a highest priority, and put that in as quickly as possible.
But I guess, but you had a qualified candidate, and we did not offer.
I haven't seen the application.
It hadn't obviously gotten to the interview stage yet. The application could have come in, the qualified applicant, at the end of the month. And with a new CAO coming, really trying to wait to give the CAO an opportunity to interview and select the candidate.
And it could be
Right.
that the application has been received, but there hasn't been a determination on that one necessarily yet, whether it's qualified or not. It could be 4 and 4 there. We don't, I just don't know, because I haven't seen that one personally. So.
But I hear what you say about the new CAO, but the application was let. We let out the application.
That's right.
And we looked at
Only 3 were deemed not qualified.
Right.
So that means that there was 1 qualifying application. However, I did not want to move forward or even recommend the CEO move forward with that, knowing a CAO was coming on board, so that they could be a part of the process for the hiring of the HR manager and the DEI, because these positions are reporting directly to the CAO.
We did the same thing with the planning chief as
Yeah.
well, as there's several open vacancies there, and we made sure she has Ms. Bergsteiner in there in the scheduler analyst role, that she's recruiting for those other positions to be able to, fill out her team, help build her team as well. So that's correct.
help me understand though, but who lets the applications out if we're not ready to hire?
Well, we're always recruiting. The position has not closed, so
Okay.
we can receive applications as long as that position is open. And those who are qualified, with the application coming in so close to the CAO starting, there's a file that's held
We
with,
can look for those.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And the next slide is the vacancy report. I ran this report as of October 10th, and all of the vacancies are listed, and the updates that I received are highlighted under the status. You mentioned the DEI EEO, that's still in a recruiting phase, it's still open, and we're still seeking applications from qualified applicants. The HR manager, we have several applications and in the process of scheduling interviews and so on down the line. You know that with the operators, we're always interviewing every Friday. That's just an ongoing process.
So the ones that are not in the recruiting stage is not in the recruiting stage because, for what reason? Are they're not critical areas? Or?
Well, they, for example, the positions, and I'll use finance for an example. Grants administrator, we have, we're not writing any new grants now. So bringing on, it's a budgeted position. Bringing on a grants administrator now would really be fiscally inefficient because there's really no substantial new grants coming in at this time. Now that the chief planning manager is here, we're going to see more grant applications coming before the board to be approved. And then when that process will really kick up, because once those grants are awarded, finance tracks it, and this is what this person will do. Every move of that grant money, that's what this person's job will be, is to make sure that it's properly accounted for. We're not paying for it if it's not a part of the grant application. The percentages are correct and all of that. Right now, I'm pretty much managing that process. But as we get more funding opportunities in, it's going to take quite a bit of work to properly manage it.
Yep. But the two that stood out to me was the internal audit / compliance. And to me, that's
it is, and that's something we are going to be building a compliance unit. And as positions transition to where they need to be, it's going to kick off with the new CAO here. Procurement moves to the CAO.
Right.
Compliance remains with the CFO. So the unit is going to kick off within the next 60 days, and these positions will be filled.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think it's one more slide. Okay. Is there one more? Yeah, we've already gone through the action items, but it just lists the action items. It just lists the action items that we've already discussed. And that concludes my report.
Great report as always. It's good to have fun. In our old business, we have an executive session that's requested for October the 24th at our board meeting. And may cause for an additional purchase action item.
That's correct.
So that will be on our meeting next week. Proposed business for action by the other committees. I think anybody wants to, do you want me to read those out, or do y'all want to just read those?
But can I ask about the executive session?
Yes, ma'am.
How does additional purchase action item rise to an executive session? I thought that was about personnel or legal.
No, ma'am, it is. It's a legal matter from a previous, that's why it's listed as old business. It's a legal matter from a previous executive session discussion that you've had. And part of the discussion may include a recommendation for the board to take action on a additional purchase action item.
So that's legal.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you will come out of executive session and you will vote on that in a public forum. But the discussion,
Because legal, somehow legal is tied to that.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
To list our proposed business for action by other committees.
I'm glad to just, because I think it's important to call out the two IGAs, and Port Wentworth will be at the meeting this month. I think they're very excited about becoming a part of the CAT family. And so they will be present for that. And of course, our DOT shuttle circulator agreement, again, one of those partnerships that Dr. Robinson was talking about earlier. And then the last item is just the approval of the zero emission bus plan that you all have seen over the last several meetings we've had the presentations on. And then the last item, of course, will be the executive governance around the 2024 legislative agenda. Again, that's something we've been sharing with you. I had a meeting this morning with Mike Backer, our state lobbyist, and Representative Ron Stevens, who chairs our delegation. And to say that the delegation is incredibly supportive of our ask and of what we're doing, we're very fortunate to have that level of support. So a lot of good coming.
Yeah, Joel, we've got some true friends to CAT in our state legislature. So if you ever see any of them, thank them, because it's important to keep that stream of funding and to keep them in the know and to keep them positive about what we're doing in the Chatham area transit. So we're very fortunate to have it. All right, if there is no other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move. You got the second.
Second.
All right. For the committee of three, yes. All right, having said that, all in favor?
Oh.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
You're right, supposed to be here.